Fake police scams. You're on a dream vacation in a foreign city when suddenly a stern-looking individual flashes what appears to be a police badge. You've never been to this country, so it might as well be a gold tinfoil, but he flashes it so quickly you barely have time to have a second look. With authority, they accuse you of a minor crime, maybe jaywalking or taking a photograph in a restricted area, even though there were no signs. Naturally, you're flustered and eager to cooperate. That's when the officer offers you a way out, a simple cash payment, discreetly handled right there on the spot. It seems like a decent deal. Part with a few bills and avoid getting arrested. But if you've traveled enough, you might know that something is wrong. After all, legitimate police officers rarely operate like back alley drug dealers. You need a get-out-of-jail-free card? That's gonna cost you $200. It seems crazy to you, but when you're in a foreign country with a foreign language and a random police-looking guy comes up to you asking for money, most people would fold. Taxi meter scams. Let's take the hypothetical scenario in which Liz stepped out of the airport terminal into the Bangkok night, rolling her suitcase behind her. After 20 hours in the air, she was eager to get to her hotel and catch up on some much-needed rest before her Southeast Asian adventure truly began. Liz scanned the area, searching for any official taxi stand, but saw none. Collecting what little Thai she knew, she waved over one of the cabbies. The man came and loaded her luggage into the trunk with a bright smile. Liz settled into the back seat, watching through the windshield as the meter came to life. So far, so good, she thought. But as they pulled away from the airport, something seemed wrong. The meter numbers were going up at a very fast pace, the fare doubling and tripling before her very eyes. Liz leaned forward, tapping politely on the glass. "Excuse me, sir, I believe there's an issue with the meter. It's going much too fast," she said. The cabbie looked at her and gave her a shrug before returning his eyes to the road. By the time they finally pulled up to her hotel, the fare read an insane sum, at least triple what she'd paid for similar routes in the past. Liz knew if she didn't pay, he'd simply call the police, so she had to pay the full price. Don't be like Liz. Get a cab app. Currency exchange scams. Let's say you've just arrived to your dream destination, Bali, for example. In your excitement, you move toward the first currency exchange kiosk you see at the airport or train station. The friendly clerk greets you warmly, sensing an easy mark. Fresh tourists of a different skin color than the locals, easy money indeed. With small talk and sleight of hand, they swiftly convert your hard-earned cash into the local currency. Now, they can do all sorts of tricks, but they all basically fall down to 1. Shortchanging the tourists by giving them less local currency than the appropriate amount based on the real exchange rate. The clerk may try to confuse or distract the tourist during the transaction. 2. Outright pocketing some of the tourist's money by sleight of hand or misdirection when counting out bills. It's only after you've left the kiosk that you realize something is amiss. Accommodation booking scams. This scam is similar to the feeling when you think you've misplaced your wallet or mobile phone. You panic and start patting your pockets, retracing your steps, all because of the terrifying prospect of being cut off from access to money, identification, and your literal connection to the world. For the most part, these scams play out this way. You spent countless hours looking on the internet for that perfect place to enjoy the holiday. You think you've found a steal of a deal on a booking site or private listing. The photos look amazing and the reviews are glowing. You hand over your payment, printed confirmation in hand. But when you arrive, the curtain gets pulled back on the con. Either the place doesn't exist, is a total dump, unlike how it was advertised, or is already occupied by legitimately booked guests. By the time you realize you've been duped, your money and dream accommodation have both vanished, just like your plans for the holiday. ATM skimming and assistance scams. This usually happens when suddenly you realize it's time to replenish your dwindling stash of local money. You'd spot a seemingly innocent ATM conveniently tucked away on a street corner. Now, unknown to you, some people have fixed a skimming device, a piece of hardware that copies your card's information as you insert it. Couple that with a cleverly concealed camera angled to capture your PIN, and you've got all the ingredients for a digital mugging. But if that doesn't work, there's also the assistance scam. If you're struggling with an uncooperative ATM, maybe battling language barriers or unfamiliar interfaces, you'll notice that all of a sudden a friendly local materializes by your side. "Let me help you with that," they they offer. If, for whatever reason, you think that's a good idea, before you know it, they've worked their way into the transaction, stealing a glimpse of your credentials or perhaps even swapping your card for a smartly crafted replica. Counterfeit money scams. Think of yourself as a kid again, excitedly unwrapping a present on your birthday or during the holidays. The shiny wrapping paper falls away to reveal a large chocolate bar, the fancy kind with a thick side. But instead of the delicious melt-in-your-mouth flavor you were expecting, you taste a chalky, waxy bitterness. You've just gotten duped, and this is exactly what happens in counterfeit money scams. Because for Kate and David, an adventurous couple from Chicago on their dream trip through Europe, they've reached their final stop, Venice, Italy. After eating at a hotel, the server brings the bill, and David pulls out his wallet to pay, sorting through the remaining euros from the trip. As he's counting out the cash, a well-dressed local man approaches their table. The man offers to exchange euros for dollars at a better rate than tourist spots, saving the couple from overpriced exchanges. They accept, and the transaction is quick, and the man disappears. It's only a day later, as they go to pay their hotel bill, that the truth is usually revealed. Those 50 euros from the friendly local are cheap and forged counterfeits, meaning that not only are they now broke, but are now in deep legal trouble. Rental equipment scam. This type of scam typically targets tourists renting gear like snorkel sets, beach umbrellas, water sports equipment, and other vacation essentials while on resort holidays. The basic idea is that rental vendors take advantage of uninformed travelers by tacking on excessive fees and surcharges beyond the quoted rental rates. This usually happens if you forgot to bring your own equipment and you go to the stalls and hand over a credit card to secure the deposit, expecting a few bucks a day for the rentals. Except when that first charge slip comes at the end of your stay, it's usually not what you'd expect. What should have been nice, affordable spending has somehow ballooned into a small fortune worth of fees and surcharges. The attendants have injected all sorts of opaque service charges, damage fees, and other mysterious line item costs. One couple rented a somewhat basic kayak and snorkel setup for their Jamaican getaway, only to get socked with over $200 in charges when all was said and done. Pickpocketing distractions. Quite possibly the oldest trick in the thievery book. The basic concept is usually a staged distraction, a fight, commotion, accident, etc., to divert the attention of a mark so an accomplice can smoothly relieve them of their valuables. It usually goes down something like this. You're strolling along, taking in the sights, when suddenly a loud crash or argument erupts just a few feet away. Your head whips around to look at the unfolding drama, and in that split second, when your eyes and attention are diverted, a skilled operator swipes your wallet, camera, phone, or whatever from your person or bag. The real evil is just how coordinated and expertly choreographed these stage distractions can be. You're talking about full theatrical productions with fake bystanders selling the realism and diversions within diversions. They'll have you focusing on a spirited argument only to get robbed as you look at what's going on. At the end of the day, you've got to embrace a healthy dose of how New Yorkers just don't care. If a commotion does pop off, just keep those eyes forward while casually streaming around it. Don't take the bait and let the street performers do their own thing. Jewelry scams. This usually happens when you're going along enjoying the new scenery when you're approached by an innocent-seeming local. Maybe it's a young gentleman with a smile or a sympathetic-faced woman's story of how hard her life is. No matter the opener, their proposition is always the same. They've mysteriously come into possession of some big-ticket, high-quality jewelry or gems that they can part with at a phenomenal bargain if you're discreet. Like any good hustlers, it's a tempting pitch mixed with the perfect mixture of authenticity and too-good-to-be-true promise. They tell you an intricate backstory, perhaps about a sibling who ran against the law or a relative's estate that needs to be quietly sold. An amazing sample emerald or ruby is flashed to spike your interest. And before you know it, your travel-tired brain starts doing somersaults at the prospect of taking a literal fortune home from this chance sidewalk encounter. Except, of course, that's all it ever was, an elaborately staged hustle. Those priceless jewels as fake as a Trump special election. Whether it's costume trinkets being passed off as gemstones or worthless glass being upsold as ravishing rubies, the back alley bait and switch is always the end game. You wake up robbed with an empty pocket and a pocket full of regret where your foreign fancy should be. Spiked drinks. You're at a lively club in Malta, the bright lights putting you you in a festive mood on your Mediterranean holiday. It's been a long day of sightseeing and you're ready to let loose with some drinks and dance the night away. As you drink up to the bar, a friendly local woman catches your eye and flashes a warm smile. You exchange info, and she offers to buy you a drink on the house to welcome you to her island home. The friendly gesture seems harmless enough in the laid-back atmosphere. A few sips into the brightly colored cocktail, however, and your senses start to get mixed up. Your limbs start to feel heavy while the club's beats seem to get distorted. You blink hard, struggling against the weird feeling as your new friend leans in with asking if you're okay. That's when the realization hits. This must be the effects of a spiked drink. Soon enough, you pass out into the woman's arms and you immediately go to sleep. You wake up robbed and alone in a random ditch looking like a hobo. Even if you ask for help, no one is going to help you as you're completely naked and alone in the middle of nowhere. Scamming is not the only thing we know about. Join our Discord server for updates on the next topics.